Welcome to the Weather Farm, where we plan the upcoming weather trends, patterns, storms, and temperatures for the continental United States, and we take a dive and look at the local regional impacts in your backyard over the next 3 to 5 days. So let's dive right into today's forecast. As we begin our Wednesday, we are watching an area of low pressure that's bringing some snow across parts of Idaho into southern Montana. That is bringing rain in those lower elevations of central Montana, stretching into North Dakota. This is going to be the mechanism, the system that's going to continue to move to the east on our day Wednesday. That's going to create widespread severe weather from Nebraska up through North Dakota. We're going to get to that a little bit later. But elsewhere, we're seeing the remnants of that upper level low continue to push off towards the east coast. Philadelphia, you have some scattered rain showers this morning. And we're watching some unsettled weather parts across northern Quebec with isolated severe thunderstorms to begin our Wednesday. So putting our map into motion, let's go ahead and take us through the day. And we see that by about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, Eastern time, we're starting to see thunderstorms popping across the Dakotas into Nebraska. Daytime heating is also allowing some of those thunderstorms and to generate and showers across parts of the Ohio Valley towards Richmond down through the Carolinas. Those will die off as the heating of the day diminishes as we approach evening. And out across the Intermountain West, we are seeing rain and snow showers continue for most of that area. As we go overnight into our Wednesday evening, those storms are getting stronger across the northern plains, and we could be talking about some severe weather through the night Wednesday into Thursday morning, and now a 990 millibar low. And as we wake up on our Thursday morning, we're seeing strong storms and strong winds also. Look at those tight pressure lines really close together. A 988 millibar low, bringing heavy rain to parts of North Dakota. In terms of our severe weather threat, the Storm Prediction Center has gone ahead and highlighted most of that same area for a slight risk of severe weather for our Wednesday into Thursday morning. We're not really worried about too much about tornadoes, though there is a 2% chance of tornadoes around across parts of South Dakota and Nebraska. The main components with this system is going to be the hail, as well as the strong winds for our Wednesday. Going back to our map, we're going to continue to take this through Thursday. We're going to continue to see heavy rain, especially across parts of North Dakota into Saskatchewan, and even in northern Manitoba. We're going to start get enough cold air up north that we're going to start to see some of that mixing with some of that snow. Across the eastern seaboard, we're seeing scattered showers with that system as it continues to make its way offshore. Making our way into Thursday into Friday, we're still seeing heavy amounts of rain across Dakotas, but even in those higher elevations in southern southwestern North Dakota, we could be talking about some mixture into snow as we approach 4 a.m. on Friday morning. Continue to take this system, and we're going to watch here in the Ohio Valley Friday afternoon into Friday evening. We could have a severe weather outbreak in this part of the country. In fact, if we go ahead and take a look at our outlook for Thursday, the Storm Prediction Center has highlighted most of Indiana, Michigan, and Wisconsin with a slight risk of severe weather. And if we look towards Friday, they've shifted that down across the Tennessee Valley. However, look at some of the high resolution model data. We believe Indiana and southern Illinois could also be in play for some significant tornadoes and strong storms. If we look at our significant tornado parameter starting on our Wednesday morning, we really don't see much activity. And as we go through the day Wednesday, we're really getting just very marginal at best hints of some tornadic development with any of these storms. As we go into Wednesday evening, we could see the potential for some strong storms across parts of Texas into Arkansas, but we're really not too concerned about that. Even overnight, Wednesday into Thursday, we're seeing some strong indications, some strong signals across parts of Missouri. But it's really as we get through the day, we really start to see this blow up across parts of southern Illinois, Indiana, into eastern Kentucky, and southwestern Ohio. And what's really driving this is if we look at the jet stream, we see here's that area of low pressure, that dip in the jet stream as we begin our Wednesday. That pivots off to the east and really it becomes negatively tilted. And so we start to see strong winds, southwesterly winds being funneled up into the system. That's going to provide the mechanism for those strong storms across the Dakotas into Nebraska. That energy is going to move to the east, and it's going to be right through the Ohio Valley on our day Friday into Friday night. This is why, again, we think we could see some severe weather across the Ohio Valley. But right behind it, we have another dip in the jet stream and strong winds in that entrance region of the jet streak. So we're going to watch this as it's negatively tilted, and we really see that trough begin to develop across the southwest as we get towards our Monday morning. That's going to eject out into the plains as we get to Tuesday of next week. And so we could be talking about another round of severe weather from Texas up through Minnesota by the middle of next week. In terms of our precipitation, most of the precipitation associated with that upper level low is going to produce another 1 to 2 inches of rain for most of Pennsylvania down through Maryland and Delaware and New Jersey. But as those storms can make their way through Indiana on our Friday into Ohio, that's where we could see additional heavy amounts of rain. The models do want to put down a 2 to 3 inch swath of rain from near Lafayette, Indiana, over towards Columbus, Ohio. We're going to have to watch to see how that plays out. Across the northern plains, where those storms are just going to sit and spin, this is by Thursday morning. We could see widespread 1 to 3 inches of rain from North Dakota down through central Nebraska. But watch, as that system continues to spin over North Dakota, that's where the heaviest amounts of rain are going to fall. 3 to 5 inches in central to western North Dakota are not out of the question. We could even see some isolated 6, 8 plus amounts by the time we get to Saturday morning. If we take a look at our supercell composite, this again combines several factors, the CAPE, the shear, storm relative helicities, to give an idea of where severe weather might pop up. We see this Wednesday night across the lower central plains through Missouri, Arkansas, and Oklahoma and Texas. Not so much across the Dakotas. That's why we don't think the threat's going to be that bad. But we're going to watch this area down here for a pop-up isolated severe storm. A lot is going to depend on whether the atmospheric conditions allow development of storms. If the cap remains in place, obviously that's going to limit the storm production across this part of the country. But if that cap can be broken, we could see an outbreak across this part a Wednesday night into Thursday. As we go into Thursday, the models again want to hint that across the Ohio Valley, there is the potential for supercell development. But again, like what we saw across the south central plains, we believe that there will be a capping mechanism in place that's really going to limit the storm development on Thursday. However, by the time we get to Thursday night, overnight into Friday, that cap, there are some signs that the cap will erode, and that could allow thunderstorms to form and develop. Let's jump right back to our map here, and let's bring it back to hour 51, which is that time period, Thursday night. We really don't see any storm development across this area, but as we go through the day, Thursday into Friday, here's Friday. The strongest storms seem to be indicated across Missouri and southern Illinois. However, when we looked at the radar, we saw them across more of the upper Ohio Valley. This is also where we see the greatest chance of having tornadic supercells developing. So we're going to watch this area Thursday, Friday, into Saturday for the risk of severe weather. In terms of our temperatures on our Wednesday, looking at a national outlook, we're going to see 80s surging all the way up to the Canadian border. While Texas, you're going to be baking. We're going to see widespread 110 degree plus temperatures, especially in far southern, south central Texas. Up towards Dallas, you could be pushing the low 100s for your Wednesday. As we move into our Thursday, that warmth does spread east, still warm across Texas, but we're now seeing warmth across the southern states with temperatures approaching 90 in most locations. Florida, you could be approaching the mid 90s. The warmth even extends up towards Maine, where we could see temperatures in the 60s and 70s. But as that trough digs across the northwest, temperatures there are going to be held down in the 40s and 50s. As we saw on the radar, we could even see some mixing with snow here across parts of North Dakota, where temperatures are going to struggle to get to 40 degrees for your Thursday high. And as we go into our Friday, that warmth continues, and you can clearly see where that cold front and that trough has dug in, because most of North and South Dakota are in the 40s. Even Minnesota, you're in the 40s and 50s. Places here in southern Manitoba that are struggling to get to 40 on our Friday, just 2 days ago, you were in the low 90s for your high. So a 50-degree temperature swing in just about 72-hour period. Across the desert Southwest, you're relatively warm in the mid-80s for this time of the year. And as we make our way into Saturday, that cooler air does dip into the Great Lakes region, so highs are going to be about 10 degrees colder on Saturday than they were on their Friday. But across the South, we're still warm with 90s stretching from North Carolina back through Texas, even 90s appearing now in the desert Southwest for our Saturday. Taking a look at the area temperatures region by region, starting in the Northeast, Wednesday is going to feature highs in the 70s across Maine, 50s and 60s across New York State, where we have those rain showers. Out across Ohio, you're in the 70s. As we make our way to our Thursday, warmth is generally the constant theme, with 60s and 70s stretching across most of northern New England. As we make our way to Friday, warm air continues, and even into Saturday, we start to see some cooling air, especially across Michigan, where highs are going to be in the 40s and 50s along the lakefront, where that trough is dipped far enough south, 50s and 60s. Maine, you're cooling off into the 50s, but we're still seeing widespread warmth. Saturday could be a wonderful day to get out, walk along the boardwalks of New Jersey, temperatures in the 70s and 80s. Looking across the southeast, we're going to see temperatures in the 80s and 90s, and that's going to be our constant theme as we make our way into Thursday, into Friday. A little bit warmer, low 90s, pretty prevalent from the Carolinas back to Texas. A little bit cooler air across Tennessee as we make our way into Saturday, 70s and 80s. Maybe near 80 for you for Nashville. And as we make our way into Sunday, that cooler air does start to dip even a little bit further south. So we're seeing more 70s and 80s across the northern parts of Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia, while 90s reign across central Florida, even upper 90s for your afternoon highs. Across parts of Texas, we've mentioned it's 110 plus as we get down toward the border, and those temperatures are going to remain most of this week. We will start to see 70s and 80s across parts of Oklahoma and Arkansas by the time we get to our Friday. A little bit cooler on our Saturday across parts of Oklahoma into the Panhandle. As we look towards New Mexico, 60s and 70s are going to be common, but we warm right back up as we get to our Sunday. Western Kansas, you're surging into the 90s. Down across Texas, you're in the low 100s for your Sunday. Into the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes area, it's 70s and 80s for our Wednesday. A little bit cooler across the far northern parts in the Dakotas, 50s and 60s. But the warmest air of the season is going to move through Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. Temperatures here reaching the mid to upper 80s for our Thursday. And we're going to have a little bit more of the same on our Friday before those storms roll in. And after those storms roll in, Saturday's highs are going to be near 70 for the northern half of the Great Lakes. And we could even have some low 40s across northern Wisconsin. Places like Rhinelander, you could struggle to get to 40 degrees. And the UP of Michigan, we could see low 40s for your Saturday. But temperatures do rebound very quickly this time of the year with that strong sun angle. Temperatures already rebounded into the 60s across Minnesota and Wisconsin. A little bit cooler across the upper Great Lakes in Ohio Valley, with temperatures generally across Indiana and Ohio in the 50s and 60s for your Sunday. Looking at the northern plains, it's the warm temperatures for our Wednesday that are quickly replaced with the cooler air, and you can clearly see where that low pressure system is across North Dakota as it wraps and pulls that warmer air north. Temperatures are surging across parts of southern Manitoba in the 60s and 70s, while western North Dakota, you are struggling to get to 40 degrees. Down across Nebraska, 60s to the north, 80s in the far southeastern part of the state for your Thursday. By Friday, that cold air is really locking in across the Dakotas, 40s, and even into Minnesota. Much of the state is going to be locked in the 40s. Those 70s are pushed down toward Iowa, southeastern Nebraska, and into Illinois for your Friday. As we look at our weekend, starting to rebound with temperatures generally in the mid-50s across most of this area, and that's pretty much a carbon copy on our Sunday. North Dakota, you will be a few degrees cooler, temperatures remaining in the upper 40s to low 50s, but Nebraska, you're surging back into the 70s. Iowa, you're in the 60s for your Sunday. Looking out to the southwest, we're seeing warm temperatures across the deserts, approaching 90, 50s across most of Nevada into western Utah for our Wednesday. As we make our way into Thursday, slight warming trend is starting, and that continues into our Friday. And we start to see that retreat a little bit on Saturday. Down in the deserts, you're in the low 90s for your highs. LA, you're going to get a little bit of a breeze off of the ocean. That's going to hold you down into the 60s and 70s for your Saturday. And that's going to also be the case as we make our way to Sunday. But we see another trough digging in with that next system that's diving in out of the north and west, and will set the stage for the potential for severe weather as we make our way into next week. And looking across the Pacific Northwest for our Wednesday, it's generally seasonal conditions for most of the area. We start to warm across parts of Oregon into Washington into the 60s and 70s for your Thursday. Pretty much another repeat of the same thing for your Friday. But look across parts of British Columbia. We're held down in the 30s and 40s for your afternoon highs. As we make our way into Saturday, that starts to make its way into Washington State and even into the higher elevations of Oregon. The warm air is starting to be pushed off to the east and to the southeast. And by the time we get to Sunday, parts of Idaho, you're going to be struggling to get out of the 30s and 40s. As we look at our long range outlook, as we look at the period from the middle of next week to basically the day after Memorial Day, most of the Great Lakes and Tennessee Valley are projected to have below normal temperatures during this time, with the Ohio Valley having the greatest likelihood of below normal temperatures. Out across the Southwest, you're going to have above normal temperatures. Across parts of Texas, you're going to continue to be warm, as well as Florida during this time period. And if we look at precipitation, we're going to see above normal precipitation from Texas through the Tennessee Valley up through the New England. Out west, it's going to be very dry, as we expect below normal precipitation during this time period, as well as most of Florida. So this is concerning. We will have an updated drought monitor map at our next video on Friday morning. We hope you check that out then. Well, we thank you for joining us here at the Weather Farm. If there's something you would like to know about more, drop that down in the comments section. We're always looking to see how we can make these videos better for you and give you the information that you need to know. Check back again with us on Friday, and we hope you have a wonderful Wednesday.